Cheryl, anything that to share or highlight in the city?
Yeah, I think in St. Petersburg, we had a bicycle pedestrian master plan that we updated and replaced with our complete streets implementation plan. That was back in 2019 when that was adopted. And we specifically called out a goal of the plan is to have a more equitable transportation network for our residents and visitors. And so some of the different performance measures that we've included in the plan that we can measure now are related to that specifically. Like, for instance, what percentage of our capital infrastructure are we investing in traditionally underserved neighborhoods versus citywide? Or, and are we making those gaps, filling in those gaps that form a low stress bicycle network across the entire city. And I think really one key concept from our Complete Streets implementation plan is really just the idea of designing the environment for the speeds that you want. And that's kind of very different than most traditional transportation engineers tend to see things. But when you do that, people will, the idea is that people who use the road will then self-regulate to the speeds that are desired and are appropriate for those particular roadway conditions. And so it tends to, the idea is that we'll eliminate the need for, some of that enforcement, and enforcement can focus on the more egregious behaviors and get to work on other things that they can be and should be doing, kind of designing that environment so that people are encouraged to go the speed that you want them to. Because speeding is such a, epidemic problem in the state of Florida and leads to, such severe crashes. I mean, it really is, kind of the underlying problem. And so we're going to work on that in St. Petersburg again through our Complete Streets implementation plan, just because it's really the root cause. And of course, we want to get to that in a way that to make sure that the investments that we're making are we're doing that in an equitable fashion.
Great. No, Cheryl, that's really, I think you guys have hit on something really important, because in this conversation about, okay, we need equity, but how do we know it when we see it? How do we measure it? And I think we've got to really start highlighting cities, and whether MPOs or different planning organizations who have figured out a way to measure it, because that's going to help us move forward.